Is there some uncreated force in the mind? From the previous note, we can see that the human mind is created and not a gracious inspiration of God itself. But a further question may arise. Isn't there simply some uncreated power inherent in the mind by nature? Let us again turn to the works of Saint Gregory Palamas and offer one observation as an example. From the following passage from the Triads in defense of the hesychasts, one might get the impression that our mind is naturally endowed with the power to surpass itself and unite with God, and that the mind has the power to surpass itself, and by this power to unite with what is better than itself. Dionysius the Great also speaks most clearly, and he not only says this, but also points out that such knowledge is one of the most necessary for Christians. It must be known, he asserts, that our mind has both the power of thinking, thanks to which it sees what is intelligible, and a union that surpasses the nature of the mind, thanks to which it comes into contact with what is beyond it. On the Divine Names 7.1. Since it surpasses the nature of the mind, it is above all mental activity, and is not knowledge in terms of superiority over knowledge. But since it is a connection of the mind with God, it is incomparably higher than the power that connects the mind with created things, that is, knowledge. Saint Gregory Palamas, Triads II, 3.48. However, if we do not judge by just one passage, but turn to what the saint writes earlier, we will see the following. The mind that has been purified, enlightened, and clearly partaker of divine grace is also granted other mysterious supernatural visions, as our discourse revealed a little higher, and even seeing itself, sees itself as another, although it looks not at something else, and does not simply contemplate its own image, but the radiance imprinted by the grace of God in its own image, which gives the mind the ability to surpass itself, and accomplishes its union with something better and surpassing understanding, thanks to which the mind sees God in the spirit better than this is possible according to humanity. Triads 3:11. Thus, not by nature, but only by the mind that has partaken of grace, has the radiance imprinted by grace, which gives the mind the ability to surpass itself. And further, since the mind also has this ability, and only by it, in the proper sense of the word, is united with God, through whom it is brought into action during prayer, that is immersed in a vision that surpasses all mental activity, which vision we call surpassing understanding. Ibid 48. This is another illustration of the words, "In thy light we shall see light," which the saint explains as the gift of the gracious eye or sight, by which the divine light is contemplated. Here are more quotes from the third triad, word 2. So this spiritual light is not only visible, but also a seeing power. It is neither sensation nor understanding, but a certain spiritual power in the highest degree removed from all created cognitive powers, and inherent by grace in pure rational natures. Therefore, Gregory, the great theologian, did not simply call the good angels contemplators of the eternal glory, but added, "and in eternity," showing that it is not with a created natural and intellectual power that the angels contemplate the eternal glory of God, but with an eternal, spiritual, and divine power, not in order, he says, that God may be glorified, for nothing can be added to the most plentiful, who is also the giver of blessings to others, but so that the blessing of the first natures after God may not cease. You see that it is not by nature given to them to eternally see the eternal glory, but being benefited by the eternal nature, they, like the saints, receive both this power and contemplation. For, moved by the eternal movement of the Holy Spirit, it became, according to Basil the Great, a holy living being, and man in whom the Spirit dwelt acquired the dignity of prophet, apostle, angel, God, although before he was earth and dust. And being endowed with such power, the minds themselves are called seers, so that this light is both in keeping with the mind and higher than the mind. But it is also said that they see themselves, for this light is self-seeing, elusive to the created cognitive power, but visible to those worthy.